Hey, what's up YouTube? Pallav here, and today we're gonna talk about Google search results for the most popular phones in 2016 here in India. So we'll talk about 10 phones, and some of those were surprise entries, some of those were quite expected, but know that this is a disclaimer, is that just because they appear to be the most popular or some of the most searched phone on the Google search does not mean they are the best devices. Even out of curiosity, a lot of people search for the phones and none would be the best example than the number one. We'll come back to that, but we'll start from the number 10. So number 10 in the list was Lenovo K5 Note, and unsurprisingly so, this was one of the best devices, I think, budget devices at its price point. It was less than 15,000 and 5.5 inch screen, full HD resolution, 3500 mAh battery, P10 chipset, a MediaTek Helio P10 chipset, 1.8 gigahertz, 4 GB of RAM, all metal design, everything. And this was kind of after Redmi Note 3 started that trend of budget devices with big batteries and good enough spec sheet to even beat or even compete with the higher mid-range devices. So this was the number 10 in the most searched devices in Google search in 2016. Number 9 is the Google Pixel. Now I don't know if there was combined the Google Pixel and the Google Pixel XL, but know that the Google Pixel series is widely touted as the best Android device in the market right now, albeit one of the most expensive ones. Now, at least DxOMark says that it has the best camera. Even we found it has at least one of the best cameras, although we found that not necessarily it's better than the S7 Edge, but that's again subjective to some extent. Whatever, maybe some people want slightly other, some people value some other features of a camera, but it's definitely right at the top. Even the UI, the whole spec sheet. The only cons of this device, what we found, was ultra boring design and ultra expensive. You generally know Google to give very competitive pricing. We've seen that in almost all Nexus devices, but Google Pixel was placed right at the most premium segment, maybe because it was Google branded, so at least to give that brand luxury feeling. But yeah, it actually sold a decent number of copies here in India. That was number 9. Number 8 was the iPhone SE. A little surprising entry, but know that it's an Apple device, so obviously it's bound to raise curiosity. Anything Apple does becomes a curiosity, or about to do rather. And most of this search, I assume, would be right before iPhone SE was launched, because a lot of people are actually curious what would Apple put into a 3-year-old body, 3 or 4-year-old body. A 4-inch screen, still had the A9 chipset, good enough rear camera, although hopeless front camera. It came out half-baked. A lot of people are disappointed. A lot of people, specifically those who owned an iPhone 5S and liked that form factor, actually had no option but to prefer the iPhone SE. But for everyone else, I guess there was kind of a less than desirable device, and just because you wanted a more manageable device does not mean you get a 1.2 MP front camera. But I think that was out of curiosity and definitely not because it was one of the hottest selling phones. Number 7, OnePlus 3. I definitely think it should have been higher up in the order. OnePlus 3 was one of the best device, still I think the best device at its price point before the OnePlus 3T came out. And plus, now it's available for less than 20,000. You cannot get a better device at less than 20,000 than the OnePlus 3. All the latest flagship spec sheet. First device, I think, at least in India, to come with 6 GB, although there was some problem with the RAM management, but still, beautiful device. Finally, the overheating problem of the OnePlus 1 and OnePlus 2 were resolved, and amazingly sharp camera as well. Number 6 and 5 are very similar devices, and I've always found it difficult to recommend which one is better. Number 5 is the Motorola Moto G4, and number 6 is the Moto G4, and number 5 is the Samsung Galaxy J7. Both are brilliant phones. Both have very good camera. The J7 kind of slightly exceeds the G4 in terms of battery, but at least the G4 Plus has slightly bigger screen, so kind of the screens is matched with the J7. When you compare these two devices, I would still, at the end of the day, if you do not want the stock Android in particular, I would recommend the J7 at the end of the day. Very good device, but those were our 6th and 5th place in the most searched devices on Google in 2016. Number 4 is Lenovo K4 Note. This is the most surprising entry, I guess, at this price point. And maybe due to marketing, maybe due to, I don't know. I'm still actually finding out the reason why people are so curious about the K4 Note. Yeah, definitely a very good phone. It was as good as any other phones at this price range, and even the camera that people have praised so much, we didn't find that exceedingly good really. So this was, yeah, one of the most surprising entries at number 4. Number 3, this is not surprising at all, the Xiaomi Redmi Note 3, the phone that started that elusive category of pocket-friendly, high-capacity, high-spec devices. The Redmi Note 3 comes in 2 versions. You obviously will be knowing one less than 10,000, one less than 13,000. In less than 13,000, you're getting a very good screen, good resolution, 5.5 inch screen, good resolution, very good battery life, 4100 mAh battery. At this price point was unheard of. You also get a very good chipset, very good camera, all metal body, everything spec together, totally all-round device. And after Redmi 3 started selling like hotcake, a lot of other device manufacturers actually started making devices at this price point. You got the U device, you got devices from Lenovo, you got devices from Oppo, Vivo, whatnot, but Redmi Note 3 was the one that actually started this particular category, and thank God for that. Number 2 is the iPhone 7. Of course, iPhone 7 is one of the best devices in the year, and there's like close fight between the S7 Edge, the Google Pixel, and the iPhone 7. But if you see the number of phones that were sold, probably iPhone 7 as a model, as a single model, would have sold the most around the world. That also has to do with the huge the huge roar that the US media makes just before and just after any iPhone launches. After any iPhone launches, they treat the iPhone features like first in the world, although most of the features on the iPhone 7 were actually borrowed from Android or obvious features. In fact, iPhone 7, if you compare with the other iPhones, has to be one of the most boring upgrades. But still, because there's only one major iPhone launch in the year, people were bound to get curious, and that's why iPhone 7 is at number 2. That does not mean it's not the best device. As I told you, it's probably one of the 3 best devices in the year. It's just that it's not much better than the iPhone 6s. That brings us to the most searched phone on Google search in 2016. As I told you at the beginning of the video, this list does not mean that the number 1 is the best device, and here it is. It's the Freedom 251. Can you believe me? Yeah, you can believe me, because it has to be one of the most searched devices in 2016. How can people give a phone at 251 Indian rupees? It's mainly this reason why people search for this phone. No one search for the phone for specification, for camera quality, for performance, battery life. No one search where to buy that phone. Maybe where to buy the phone, because you can just spend 251 rupees or about $40. That's fine. How to get the phone, how maybe some coupon or something. So curiosity mainly was around how can a phone be built and sold and still make profit at 251. And turns out it was kind of a big hoax, although the company continuously been telling us that they would deliver at 251. It's more than a year they haven't delivered the phone to the consumers. I haven't found a consumer who told they received the Freedom 251. Maybe the media guys and some of those influential ones, which might have hacked 1 or 2 pieces here and there, but not on the mass scale. But yeah, it's mainly due to this price, and that, as I told you, the curiosity. It was the most searched device on 2016 on Google search. So that was the top 10 list. What do you think? Do you think that any of the devices that were supposed to be included, any devices are supposed to be excluded? One, as per me, definitely the Lenovo K4 Note. But tell us about devices of your choice, the device that you search the most in our comment section. Till the next video, ciao.